Year-old in West Bengal's Baruipur has been killed in a police encounter. The man, identified as Prabhash Mondol, was killed in an encounter when he was being taken for crime scene recreation. Prabhash has been arrested with two others in connection with the rape and murder of a 12-year-old girl whose body was found stuffed inside a sack in a pond in Baruipur. After the body was found, anger spread on the streets and a man was lynched, who, according to the police, later had nothing to do with the rape. Within 3 days, the horrific rape of a 12-year-old has led to a public lynching and a questionable encounter. Does this now reflect the frustration that has been developed with the delay in giving justice to rape and murder victims? Shamshavi Shrain, Supreme Court advocate, is joining us live. Sanjay Sahai, former ADGP Karnataka, is with us live as well. Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist, joins the broadcast. Deepika Narayan Bhardwaj, social activist, is also joining us on the program. What do you make of this encounter now that has taken place in West Bengal? It is, of course, being questioned by some. It is being celebrated by others. But overall, of course, now the big news from West Bengal is that the perpetrator of this crime, the main accused arrested, is now dead. Shamshavish.
Yes, as per what we have read is that he was trying to flee the scene, and then the police had an encounter of that person, of that accused. But the point is that whether he was the person who had actually committed the crime, because the proper investigation was not done, a proper charge sheet was not filed in this matter. It was under in investigation. So it is sad to hear that someone is killed by the police. He was accused in this matter because it's the court who would say that yes, he was the one who has committed the crime, because this kind of a police action wherein a person, because as per the law, as per the police rules, you should only shoot the person on his feet first when he is trying to run, and then if in case he is at grave danger that he will kill all of you and there is a life threat, only then you will harm him or shoot him on a area wherein he won't be able to move. So this is what the rule says. But then if straight away you say that you shot him so brutally that he died, it is wrong on the part of the police. That would I mean, as a public prosecutor, as a lawyer, as a judge also, everyone would say that this is a wrong move made by the police, because the case was just started, the affair was lost, and the investigation was underway. And yes, over to you.
Right. What do you make of the details emerging regarding this incident today, Sanjay Sahai? This police encounter in which, of course, the main accused now, the individual arrested with two others, has been neutralized.
Yeah, I think it is a standard pattern which we are seeing across the country, and that the person wanted to escape. And while he was trying to escape, and he picked up the police firearm and he tried to shoot, and then police shot wherever. And finally, when he brought to the hospital, he is declared dead. Now, there are a couple of things which come to the fore without questioning the encounter or whatever it was. One first is most important. What do Indians understand by encounter today? Now that I leave it to the people in the audience and experts on the panel as to what we understand by encounter. So it was a different thing when we started with our career, and slowly over the year, encounter has a completely different meaning and perception. They talk of encounter kar diya. So anyway, that is what is the popular perception, how it has been built, why it has been built, we don't know. So an encounter, if there are allegations of lack of transparency or proportionality, there is no proportionality anyway in an encounter. So what does it take care of? Already one fellow has been lynched, and there is a huge amount of backlash, which was that in that particular area, and protest and variety of other things which were happening. So encounter, if it were supposed to be the encounter as we understand, which means primarily this fellow has been killed, it takes care of police inefficiency. It takes care of the government's lackadaisical approach. It also takes care of sloppy investigation. It takes care of mediocre prosecution. And it takes care of an unending judicial trial. So that is where it stands, and the lynching incident which happened there, I think that provided enough of a scare and fear among the power that be, and then they went ahead with whatever they did. Now, the only way, now the point is, now if such sort of incidents are happening, I'd like to know what was the police strength, why he was being taken at 12:15 a.m., What was the strength of this guy? He was some Superman that is able to take away the fire. What is the sketch of that particular area which clearly explains as to what the nature of incident which has happened? So, end of the day, encounters have to be very well substantiated in a court of law. And given the fact that the way investigation happens, time taken, and the trial happens, and side by side, the outrage which is happening today, because the promises of a very perfect redressal and sort of a law and order unimaginable, because only 2 days back, 3 days back, or might be a week back, we have this West Bengal Public Safety Act. And there's another law, public disturbance, law and order, and also that has also come into being, where you can go up to a detention of 12 months. How all these things add up together? I'm not an expert on adding up all these things together, but broadly it's left to the audience. As far as the current situation goes, these are the sequence of events.
Okay, let me in fact quickly then take that to you as well, Deepika Narayan Bhardwaj, because this clearly shows also, the run-up to this particular trial in this case has seen a lynching immediately and now an encounter as well. And both are actually not being mourned by many, but actually being celebrated by several in West Bengal. What does this then tell us about the justice system? What does this then tell us about the attitude towards these alleged rapists? And what does that also tell us about the people's sentiment which prevail currently in West Bengal?
Uday, one thing that we must understand is that people are on their edge when it comes to addressing brutal crimes like this in the country. We are seeing such cases happening all over. And when small little children become targets of such brutal crimes, there is obviously an outcry and outrage. We need a swift justice system. I am someone who is not averse to the extreme punishment of death penalty. People who take away lives, especially of children, I think do not have any place in a civilized society. But can we carry out murders like this by the law enforcement themselves? I think a clear no. And in this particular episode, very unfortunately, there's an innocent man who has been lynched. He was also somebody, there are parents that have brought up a child for an entire life, and that person gets lynched by the mob when that person is innocent. I think it is very, very unfortunate. And if people who have done this are not brought to justice, I think we would be sending out a very wrong signal. We need a swift justice system. I would not hesitate to say that, rapists and murderers deserve nothing that less than death penalty. But carrying out, broad daylight, I would say, murders like this by the law enforcement system, I think it's sending out a very wrong message. These can later become a tool to settle personal scores, vendetta. Who knows who is being encountered, whether the person has actually committed the crime or not. You pick up some man, say that this person has perpetrated the crime, and shoot that person down. Who is going to investigate whether that person had actually committed the crime or not? So there is every individual, no matter how brutal the crime, our constitution grants them a right to a trial. There is a judicial process. That's why we have courts. Otherwise, I think it would be a kangaroo system where anybody would be doing anything. And I think that cannot be allowed in any civilized society.
Okay.
But at the same time,
yeah.
I think we are somewhere failing our girls, our women who become victims to extreme. I was reading the details. The child was still alive when she was thrown in the pond. It just breaks our heart. And I think that's why when people read such gory crimes, they think that anything is justified to basically spread fear amongst such monsters.
Okay. Let me in fact quickly then also rope in at this point Gautam Mukherjee. Gautam Mukherjee, now we are learning, of course, that the main accused has been shot dead. It was a police encounter, of course, allegedly, that took his life earlier today. This has become a big case politically as well in West Bengal. We've seen horrific crimes, of course, against women committed there. Many believe that that was one of the reasons why the election result threw up the BJP in a big mandate, apart from other factors. And then you had this incident. Now the main accused, of course, killed in this police encounter. What do you make of the facts that are emerging, Gautam?
Well, I've listened to all the panelists so far, and everybody has assumed that the police pretty much killed this man without reason. But as happens in many encounters, they do realize that they're under threat, and to try and snatch a policeman's weapon and apparently fire a shot is reason to be killed insofar as in the retaliatory strikes from the policeman. Now, in the broader context, you've had tremendous law and order problems in Bengal. This particular place where this incident happened is just about 30 kilometers or less from Calcutta. It does look like a very provocative crime. It could have political overtones insofar as it was done perhaps to create a situation where you're testing the will of the government. All in all, there are 3 more people who have been captured along with this. They will be questioned. It will come out whether the person who was killed was the main culprit. It appears so because he appears in camera grabs along with the child. But it will come out whether these 3 who are remaining and are in custody acted alone or they were provoked to do this by parties that we will find out about. The government is fairly determined to do something very strong against people who perpetrate crimes against women and children. There is a new police force called the Durga Vahini, I think, which will be out looking for any possibilities of crimes against women, and women can approach this force, which is patrol. And as Mr. Sahai mentioned, there are a couple of laws which have been strengthened, new laws which are out to take care of gundas and antisocial elements.
Okay.
This is how this was quelled in UP, and Bengal needs a strong arm of the law in order to make sense of this kind of mindless violence, which has become routine there.
Okay, let me in fact quickly then take that to you as well. Once again, Sanjay Sahai, on, of course, at the end of the day, this frustration with the system as well, because it's not just West Bengal but country over. You mentioned that this is a pattern that you are seeing around us, but the fact is that there is this frustration in the justice system as well, which many believe fail the victims with the long trials, the surprising acquittals sometimes, and the way with which fast tracking does not happen despite the outrage every time such an incident emerges. Is that what is also leading to the cheer, the lack of questioning, the lack of being upset with this, but rather cheering on when such an incident happens, when such an encounter happens?
So it is primarily weak governments who try to look strong or give an impression of being strong. Point number 1. Point number 2, good governance. I think we have reached the stage where hardly any government in the country understands good governance. Number 2. Number 3, your vision of governance. Number 4, no checks and balances. Number 5, none of the elements of the Indian democratic system, executive, judiciary, and the parliament or the legislature, they talk to each other under any circumstance. If they talk to each other, it will be documents which are put in the public domain. Now, who has stopped the executive in supporting the judiciary to provide its resources? Is judiciary not the critical infrastructure of this country? So everybody is watching it from a distance, inclusive of our honorable judges, and there are a variety of other things which are being talked about. But nobody talks about this particular thing. And people who have been watching Verma, whom you call as Justice Verma, what will they think of the judicial administration of this country? So you have brought the people to a precipice, and that is sorting out all your political aggrandizement, requirement, fulfillment of all your gratification, legal, illegal, and otherwise. And people are there, they are foolhardy, they don't have a choice. They want somehow the violence to stop. If you want somehow the violence to stop, this is the only way for any common man to feel that something good is happening for him. When in reality, the danger at which you are at a cliffhanger. You just don't know that you will slip away. The same West Bengal government you are talking about, when these bills were introduced in the state legislature or even outside, they have been talking about 15 years of Gundaraj. Now that 15 years of Gundaraj, nearly 9.5 years or 10 years of that, the present incumbent was also a part of it. And 22 years he has been in the same party. You start from Siddharth Sankar, Mr. Gautam will bail me out. So from Siddharth Sankar to CPM, to Mamata Banerjee, what culture has changed in West Bengal? In CPM days, there were used to be so many factories where Chanda used to get collected in the name of CPM. There was also a story that unless you don't get a chit, you can't file a case.
Right.
What I'm trying to tell you that this is a complex, vexed problem.
But Shapshami Shrine, has the judicial system, which you are also a part of, failed, victims over the years, which is what is leading to this pattern emerging in the country. You were criticizing what has happened earlier. You were saying it's unfortunate. You don't know whether he is the actual culprit or not because a charge sheet hasn't been filed. But, that is all part of procedure. And while that is important, but is it the failure of the system that you're a part of as well that is leading to this cheer amongst many people today?
Yes, even judiciary, I would say that they are so overloaded and very unfortunate that if you will see, there are so many seats that are vacant by the judges. There are around 1,000 to 1,200 seats that are empty in the High Court. In trial courts, it's more. In Supreme Court, there are 2 seats still vacant. So it's huge number of vacant seats for the judges. And then when the seats are vacant, so the case burden comes on the judges who are actually sitting in the court. So the ones who are sitting here, they also have a capacity. So in a day, they can only hear 15 matters or 20 matters. So because of that, the problem happens that the cases gets on piled up because the crime is not stopping. The cases are not being stopped to file. But the finality of a case is actually being delayed because of one of the biggest reason is this. But if such kind of things does not happen and the judiciary has a proper more of judges there, and then they also have a proper deadline that we won't be giving any dates in the matter because the opposite counsel, the parties, everyone keeps on coming to the court and keep on seeking dates in those matters. And that is the reason the linger around of the matters. So if there is a proper, the court also take a strong action there that no dates would be given in the matter. So that
and also this problem, Gautam Mukherjee, this problem in West Bengal of a pattern of rapes and murders. We saw so many, in the TMC government. So soon in this Suvendu Adhikari government, this case of course also emerged, which outraged many. The law and order in West Bengal, really, a big question mark is still over it. And that is something which must be tackled by this government, isn't it?
Yes, and this government is setting about it in a very strong arm method and is determined to tackle it. And it is what the people want. So this is an example. Now, you had a very similar situation in UP when Yogi took over.
Okay.
And there were a whole bunch of encounters and, in fact, a whole bunch of surrenders.
Right.
Various dacoits and antisocial and murderers and such like came and said, please put us in jail, we don't want to be shot. I think you need this kind of tone in West Bengal to put a stop to this instead of arguing about the whys and wherefores of the finer points of democracy or the law.
All right. I'm going to have to leave it at that. 30 seconds to Deepika, and then I need to take a break. Last word.
Uday, I think it is high time the laws are followed in the way they are supposed to follow. I think in the new Bharatiya Nyaya Suraksha Sanhita, the police officers are supposed to carry a camera with them when they are going for investigation and all that, to the point of what Gautam was saying, that maybe they tried to shoot at the cops. If these investigations are video recorded, I think we would have a clear idea on what really happened so that no injustice can be carried out.
Okay. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us on this discussion. We're slipping into a very short break. Don't go anywhere, the news continues on the other side.